Hello there and welcome back to European Qualifiers Hub. Today I will be making another prediction for the World Darts Championship. I did it last year. I'm gonna do it this year. So let's start with the first match. Thibaut Tricol, I think, will have no trouble defeating Joe Comedo. I also think Nick Haney will be prevailing against Story Barnes. We have a lot of very strong Pro Tour qualifiers, and most of which I think will prevail pretty easily. Same with Vladimir and Plaisir, two Dutchmen who have been really playing very well this season. And we will go on with Alan Suter, who I think it's a pretty. It could be a close game, but Suter is the stronger player. There's no denying that. Upsets can always happen, as in the next game. But Wesma is a very stable. He is a very consistent player. This season has been playing better than he did last year overall. Connor Scott, I cannot really have a lot of these Proto qualifiers losing. I will have some lose there, but I think Connor Scott and Luke Woodhouse. Another example. I mean, Luke Woodhouse is a major semi-finalist, something not many would have expected. Here's the first possible upset that I was about to make. I will revert them. I say Mikkel wins because I really think that he has something to prove this tournament. And I mean, what Fallon Sherrick is a player who is, in terms of quality, below his level, but in terms of hype, way, way above him. And I really think he can stand up to the pressure. Maybe he cannot, but that's it. Ian White hasn't played consistently, but doesn't have the strongest opponent in Sissing. And I think most of the international qualifiers are not that much of a threat. Same with Labanowskis. Who can beat Brian Josted? Yeah, I don't think a non-Turkat holder can do it. And I know I've been going with the protocol first only, but these first ones aren't I would say, decisive ones, anyways. First time I will not pick the protocol for Matt Campbell. Has been playing good from time to time this year, has been playing bad on lots of occasions, but I think on the stage he can pull it off. He does not need to fear for his two cut as does Manser, but that proto qualifier was extremely vital, and I think the proto qualifiers they are dangerous. Nico Springer is a player who would have a good shot against many opponents. Not Scott Williams though. Scott Williams loves playing on stage, and I say he performs better on stage than he does on the floor significantly. It's really the case if you look at what happened in Player Championship finals. I don't think Petrescu will have a lot of trouble. You have another German who goes through. Mancy's is a player who I don't know. He has a lot of abilities and has more to show. I think Luke Man, a major finalist even. Is a major finalist. That's crazy, but his opponent is the Indian qualifier, one of the weakest in the field. Kevin Dutes wins. Richard Veenstra wins. Just the two has reached a level where those proto qualifiers they're so dangerous for so many of those seats that I don't think they will have a lot of problems. Most of them. Here's an occasion. I would say Stephen Burton against Alistair Moss. I would say it's about an even match. So this time I will let the international qualifier win. I still think Burton is the slight favorite, but Merckx someone who will probably even get a two cut because of Scott and Plaisir just getting one of the rankings. So he's a player who can, I think, he could be a top 64 player. I think he can keep all of his two-cut if he gets one. A Sadler check against Griffin. Now that's another occasion. I will let Selachek win because I've not seen much of Griffin this year. He came through the two card qualifier, though they're always the most dangerous ones. Mickey Mansell, another player who had just an amazing upset. And here we have another two card holder qualifier. And I do think this one, I do think he might crumble under pressure, but he has been playing better than Hempel recently. So if he has like kind of his explosive powers going, he could win. Though Hempel is a good stage performer as well, so both could prevail. I think it is one of the best, or it will be one of the best. First one match is certainly one of the most promising. That also applies to Hybris against Barry. I don't know. I put Nyman in the next one first because I don't think it's much of a debate. Hybrex against Barry. Now Barry is not the stage loving player, while Hybrex is. In terms of ability, they're about equal this year, but not on stage. If it was a floor game, I might be giving Barry the edge, but I mean, he hasn't qualified. He failed to qualify of the Pro Tour ranking, so he hasn't had a very great year per se. Howell was good in the beginning, but I don't think Jim Long is too much of a threat. Landman has a pretty easy draw, and I think will be glad that he puts himself in a good position to keep hold of his two card. I De Graaf is favored against Sweeting. He's one of the weakest players in the field. Doesn't apply to Nebrida, but I think Jim Willis is someone who almost always reaches at least a second round. He's a very consistent player. Ricky Evans is lucky that he, even though it was certain to qualify from the Pro Tour Order of Merit, he's glad that or lucky he got in the port also because of Dom Taylor, and that meant Robert Owen joined the tournament, who's also on that same screen. So Ricky Evans has an easier draw, and Gordon Mathers, who doesn't win a lot of the time in Ali Pally, I think he will prevail. I also think Zonneveld beats Owen because Zonneveld has been playing fairly decent recently. Dylan Slevin has had a very strong showing at the two-card holder qualifier. The pressure's off him, so he could win, and I will even give him the win because of Connor. He has been playing worse than in the last years. He's been losing a bit of his consistency, dropping off a few rankings. Still one of the most consistent players on tour, which is the polar opposite of Callum Woods. However, I don't think he will have too much trouble with Gribovac. Woods can always throw a game he looks certain to win away, but I don't think it will be the case this time. Now Humphries is a player who is vulnerable in short formats. We have seen it this year as well. Almost lost to Bunting and lost in the European Championship. That wasn't first one. He lost in the Grand Slam group stages. Two games, two matches, and lost in the group. But I don't think recall is enough of a challenge for him, especially because of the set format. Humphries has a very good timing. I think he's more dangerous in set format. Often you say, oh, the weaker players, they have a better shot in the set form, but I don't think it applies to Humphries because you can just, throw out a high finish when he's a very resourceful player. Barney was not in the greatest form. I think he wins, but I think the first seeds falling are right here. James Wade, he could always. I mean, if he wins, he's probably the favorite for whoever comes here, and I do say that it is Plaisir. I think White will be kind of discussed, but Jermaine Wadimena, he is the strongest non-seed. I mean, he has had the best year. He has played a good European tour and reached a major final, but also his scoring, his finishing. He's an explosive player. I mean, Machine Gun really is a fitting name for him. Stephen Bunting, Dirk van Dijvenbode, will have no trouble, as will have Mike the Decker. Now Damon Hatter, I will say Connor Scott. It's more of a feeling than anything else because I will have Mike the Decker prevail probably. But I think Connor Scott can cause a lot of damage if he wants to. We've seen it at the Player Championship Finals, what he's able to do. Littler will win even against Scherer convincingly. Richie Adams will win against whoever he plays. Danny Norbert, he always gets the result. He never goes very deep. Missed on the European Championship final, but he has a very consistent play style. And I think he'll play Ryan Searle. I think even Metzer. Ryan Searle is solid enough not to lose against a mid-ranked tour card holder these days. I would like to see Scott Williams in the next round, but I say I don't know, the whole stage flair only gets you so far. If Cross plays badly, absolutely I could see Williams win. But I think Cross will be able to reach his normal level. He has a lot to prove and he has a tough draw. I think Gian will face him. Funnily enough, Gian lost to Scott Williams in an upset in the Players' Championship Finals, but I think he will meet Cross this time. I also think Aspinall will prevail. I haven't seen Aspinall as. There have been some high ranked players who have had a very, I would say, they're very bad looking drop of form. Concerning is the word. I don't think Aspinall is the most concerning out of them. He will drop down the rankings a whole lot if something doesn't change, but I don't think his form, he will not like just continue falling. He doesn't have the total downhill momentum that some other players have. Andrew Gilding against Martin Lukeman is honestly a 50-50 game, even with Lukeman's good performances. I will let those two seeds win. Many people have them losing. I have them both winning, though I think it's pretty likely at least one of them fails. And Michael Smith is also someone I don't see him crumbling early. I don't see Ratajski crumbling. I think we have more seeds prevailing than we think because on some of those occasions the seeds are actually the outsiders, and as we've learned from this year, outsiders prevail, while Dobie and Walk aren't exactly outsiders, but I will let them both through. Clayton, I think, has a very favorable draw in this one, as does Daryl Gurney. I think this match, if it happens, I see it happening, and so not an explosive player at all. This one, playing for Stuttgart, but Gurney is a bit too much, and Gurney is pretty low on this ranking. He could be a much higher ranked player. I mean, he has been reaching at least one of 16, so he should be. I think top 16 is fair enough for him. He's not quite there yet in his earnings, but can get there eventually. But we get to this matchup later. I think it might decide actually who gets to the semi final, believe it or not. Russell Nyman, I think Joe Cullen, one of the worst informed seeds at the moment. And Gerwin Price will win against Hybrids because he just needs that fire, and if the fire is lit, he's still a top 16 player at the very least. He's also one of those. Of course, huge drop off from his previous form, but not as concerning as players like White or Kahn or others. Van Gerwen will win. I also think Landman will win. I actually do not see Dolan, and Landman will have the advantage of having played a game already, which is not that much of an advantage to be honest, but no matter what. Anderson strong and Ross Smith also strong, and this half of the bracket will, I think, produce the semi-finalist. And this one, I don't see many of those players being very strong lately. I will let all of the seeds through, I think, however, because they don't face the strongest of oppositions. If you look at those players, none of them are very consistent, except for Zonnebold, maybe, but I think Clemens barely edges. This is the closest of those games, however, I don't see Dimitri losing. He hasn't been too bad. Let's put it this way, he somehow pulls a good game from time to time. I don't know how. So Humphries to win, Guatemala to win, no matter if it's White or Plaisir. Guatemala, he's a top 16 player in terms of form right now. So him reaching the last 16 is, I don't think, much of an upset. Maybe against Wade. I would like to see Van Dijvenbode win personally, but I think Bunting will, probably because of the format. I know it's not, but I think it's 4 sets in the last 32. Could be one. No, it's 4 sets definitely for the win, which is 12 legs, which Van Dijvenbode has been having trouble playing more than the first to six. Slight trouble. So Bunting, he hasn't been terrible. I mean, he has had. I think he's been stopped by very strong players. I mean, terrible. He's a major champion. Hasn't quite got the results since then, but I think it's because he really has had strong opposition. And De Decker is, I mean, he's just very, very rising star. Could be Premier League material for sure. I mean, if he defeats Humphries in this World Championship, he almost certainly will be, but we'll look how that plays out. Littler will beat Erdhaus, Norbert will beat Searle. Norbert is better than Searle in almost every aspect this year. I see Van Veen winning against Cross. In terms of form, he's the better player right now. Aspinall is the better player than Gilding in terms of historical and also in terms of form, not that much worse, I suppose. The Bully Boy will prevail against Ratajski. I think he has a good draw. Ratajski is not one. And I said it last year. Smith had a decent enough draw coming to the last 16. Then he faced Dobie. Will he face Dobie this time? I will say yes. I do think Rock is a potential semi-finalist, but he's also a player who can go out in the third round just as well. Not that much of a consistent player, even when his form has been rising significantly in the past weeks. I say this is a potential semi-finalist making game, and I think Clayton wins it due to his general composure, and if he can find his doubling, he will win against Gurney. Gurney is not a player who has consistent doubling. Sometimes he's great, sometimes he's awful, and I think Clayton can take advantage of that. I also think Price can beat out Nyman, believe it or not. All form aside, Nyman is a young player who I think even will be making his debut, but I could be wrong on Ali Pali. But I think Price, why not? He's not been playing awful all year. And this is one of the matches where it could devolve into a fight. I think everything here points to Van Gerwen versus Anderson, though was Smith, heavy contender. Why do I think Anderson wins? Because he's been producing the better results all year, but in one game, in one match, it could also always be was Smith prevailing. Over here, I see Chisnell having a pretty easy path to the last 16, and Schindler has been the better player again in terms of consistency. Could totally see Dimitri winning, however. It's a prediction. I'm going with the safest route most of the time. Doesn't mean it's what will happen. Will I put Guatemala over Humphries? No, I will not. I will not put out Humphries just now. He will play the Decker there. So that'll be interesting. Guatemala has absolutely has the potential. I think in the first to six, I would maybe even say is the favorite because Humphries has slow starts from time to time, but not in first to four sets, which is what we also have, and then first to five in the quarterfinals. No surprise that Littler will join him and Van Veen will as well. So you have just these are all of the players who've been rising lately. I mean Humphries and Littler, um, before and or during the last World Championship, and these others have been rising in this year. I mean Van Veen just being more consistent, but the Decker coming out of nowhere like Adhouse and Watimena, who could also defeat Humphries. But he's not that much of a newcomer, of course, more like a bounce back. Do I say Dobie defeats Smith again? I probably do. Last thing that happened last year, Dobie will play Clayton. I think Clayton Price, if it comes to this match, Clayton will win. He's the better player. Will it happen? Very debatable. They're both very much in danger, but I think it would make for a great match. And as what Van Gerven Anderson, which is the likely match that will happen, do I say Anderson wins? I would put him over the top. You know, I can imagine Anderson losing, like against Ross Smith before that game. But I think if he reaches it, he will beat Van Gerven. Beaten him before. Van Gerven is not that much of a. It's Anderson's game to lose. If Anderson finds his game, Van Gerven cannot do much. If you look at what happened this year, which can never be that much, but that's certain. Schindler is a player who has crumbled under pressure before, as has Chisnell. I don't know why I'm letting Chisnell win. I say of form Martin is the favorite, but again it's the World Championship. Sometimes just the established players, the more established ones, make it through, but not always. I say the Decker beats Humphries. Why? He can beat him over best of six sets, the first to six sets. He can beat him in first to five as well, even without double M. I mean, it's not like Mike the Decker is a bad scorer either. Then playing Littler and Clayton reaching the semifinals. Why do I think that? I think he is a player who is consistent, but I will not make any surprises with the finalists. It could be the Decker Clayton. I say it will be Littler Anderson. One of the most frequently predicted finals, I think, and I do not want that ad. Thank you. And you know what? Just for fun. I'm not doing it for money. I'm saying Anderson wins. Is this realistic if Littler storms to the final? Will he lose against Gary Anderson? Absolutely. Because look at what happened this year in the World of Darts. So there you go. That is my prediction. And I think I will have a lot of things wrong and I will have maybe some very surprising picks right. Not talking that much about Alice pick. It'll be interesting to see. Probably Clayton goes out early, but if he reaches the semi-final, I'm gonna be proud. Last year I was correct about Dobie beating Michael Smith and then losing the quarterfinal, so I just went with that again. Let's see how it goes and let's just all enjoy this World Championship. Honestly, I'm not trying to predict it because I really can't. I'm doing it for fun, but I'm not trying to be serious about it anyways because you just can't be these days. I gotta be honest. So if you enjoyed that, maybe stay for some more international football content. And yeah, enjoy the darts, I guess. Enjoy the world of sports.